Yes, well, that's interesting because I do hope it's better weather in Mexico than we
Oh,
had the eclipse.
yes, yes. So, welcome everybody. I think we're live now. Yes, Mark, or it is live. And thank you for joining us. Happy full moon. We've just had a day, 2 days of full moon magic. And I didn't get to see the moon a whole lot because of some clouds, but we had epic sunsets and epic sunrises. And I've been doing my usual not sleeping. I've been sleeping a lot, but it's more just like circular sleeping, fluid in and out, in and out. So thank you so much for being here. We've got Maria. Thank you for being here, Maria.
Yes, thank you for having me again, Nan. It's always a pleasure to be in your company.
Oh, wonderful. So, what we're going to do today is hopefully you know that Maria and I are going to be coming together here in the Yucatan, where I live in my land in Mexico in March. And so, from the 1st to the 8th, I invite you. We still have some spots left, and someone signed up last night. I forgot to tell you that on the full moon. And so, what we're going to be doing is sharing a little bit more about some of the things, since Maria has decoded pyramids and sacred sites all across the world and has never come to Mexico. We're really excited to create this opportunity to come with us to do some interesting discoveries. So I always consider it a mystery of evolving mystery of discovering the truth of any kind of history, right? We're pretty clear that we've misinterpreted and erased most histories in many different ways. So the Mayan information, the wisdom that's rising from the stones right now, the wisdom that the elders are starting to be willing to share, the fact that they are traveling around now looking for people who want to prepare for 2027, which is called the Chikaban, which is a 52-year era of peace. That it is something we have to go through a few years of fire to prepare for. So it's time to really, really listen when you feel called. And I was so excited to get to be at your conference, Maria, in person with so many beautiful people. Hi, if anybody's out there, and to share some of this information about the Maya and to I guess just unravel some of the myths and give people a window into something that, honest to God, when I was in England, I met more people who looked at me and who said, I didn't know there were pyramids in Mexico.
God's sake.
I kid you not. Taxi drivers, people in stores, people in London. I'd say could have been 8 people or more that actually said that to me. And I said, well, there's only about 5,000 right around me. So I know I wasn't raised with it for sure. But what we've got is an amazing opportunity right now, like in a lot of different places, to explore the sites and to bring someone like Maria. So tell us a little bit about your background, Maria. You can find her. I'll put her website up here, and why this is interesting to you.
Well, I've now doused 17 different countries, Nan, and I think Mexico is going to clock it up to the 18th country that I've looked at sacred sites. And I wonder with sheer amazement and mystery, what is Mexico going to teach me? What sort of energies are going to be there? Is it going to be quintessentially Mexican, unique to its own land? Or is it going to share some of the similarities with Egypt and places like Silbury Hill, not far from where I live, that was constructed like a 7-step pyramid? So what do they have in common? What's going to make them unique? That's what I'm looking forward to. And I invite people to come with me and explore these mysteries and feel like the first in which to do a survey of the different types of energies, because ley lines have all been done, earth currents have been done. I can add layer after layer to it, including different things like musical harmonics that I'll touch upon later. What are the frequency of the pyramids? What are they going to be allowing us to see, to unfold, to hear beyond the normal range? So I'm going to be looking at frequencies. I have some new equipment with me as well that can measure torsion fields, and the torsion field of one of the Temple of the Sun, I believe it was registered by Richard C. Hoagland. So I'm going to bring some new equipment and seeing what is the torsion field like, and imagine that as to be the auric energy field, and I can start to decode that as well. What is one pyramid going to be like compared to the other? So we can use some fun equipment, look at it on a laptop. We can compare that to dowsing and also to feeling it with our own sensitivities.
Wow, I was getting goosebumps. I was just getting all kinds of goosebumps because it feels like, getting to know someone. And that's what it feels like. I mean, if you're interested in sacred sites, if you're interested in temples and even, caves and natural spaces, right? You feel something. You can feel the essence of the place. I know I was thinking about all the things that we've done over the years here where we go, and we're not talking about torsion fields or even earth energies at the time. Vortexes, maybe, we definitely see the vortexes in some of the trees that do this. We can sense them. But every site, every building in every site, the land, the configuration, the orientation of them, they all have a different personality, just the way you experience them and feel them. And we often say, oh, this site's very, very feminine, or this site's very masculine, or this one's really reaches into the heart, So this is so exciting to explore something really, like you said, that it's been explored on and off in such a disconnected way, I guess. A lot of the Mayan things and the Teotihuacan that you mentioned before, the Pyramid of the Sun over there, although we have all of them have a Pyramid of the Sun. But those were, built by, they still at least don't even admit they know who built them. They're so old. Yet they're probably the only ones that have really been explored very much, other than Chichen Itza.
Yes, and just before I kind of explain about some different sites as well, my main website isn't mariawheatley.uk. My main website is www.theavebury, AVEBURY, theaveburyexperience.co.uk. That's where you find everything that I'm doing from my workshops, and esotericcollege.com is my teaching platform. But when we look at some of the workshops that I've done across the world, thank you, Nan, that's beautiful, thank you. When we look at some sites, you can get more sites that are male or female or a combination of the both, and they're hermaphrodite sites. So, for example, you can go to these ones that bring you into pure balance, for example, and I've explored those, and they're related to a particular type of earth energy. So it's the earth energies that decree what the site is like, and that's what's going to be fun having a look at, because one of the largest pyramids in America is the Monk's Mount in Cahokia. And Cahokia, for example, the base of that platform pyramid structure is the same size as the Giza Plateau base. It's not the same height, but it's the same kind of base. So they share these similarities. And beneath that type of pyramid, you have the triple spiral. And we can have a look. Is Mexico going to reveal that? Is it going to have something else, for example, like is it going to be similar to a Greek temple? Is it going to be like other pyramids? And even in America, when we go to Arkansas, you have the Toltec mounds, they're platform pyramids as well. They share similarities with ancient Egypt, and they can be connected to one another. So when we look at a ceremonial landscape such as Stonehenge or the Giza Plateau, which is much more extended than just the 3 pyramids, for
Yes, plateau.
example,
Yeah.
yeah, it's vast. Then we can look to the overall patterns that the sites are encompassed and how they are linked together by energy after energy. So when we look at a ceremonial site, we need to look at the vast picture to begin with, and then follow that in as we enter the site. And that's what I'm going to find exciting. And I think we're going to find some unique earth energies there that are probably not going to be found anywhere else in the world. That's my hunch. Now, I may be right, I may be proved wrong, but I do feel that they are going to be a teacher and showing something else, because when I've gone to New Mexico, it showed me something different.
Oh.
But you do have similarities. You do have this common thread that links through, but sometimes they show their own glory that is different to anywhere else. And that's what I find exciting about Mexico. I can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I am so excited. And if you want to join us, this is the link here. It's also below. And of course, please reach out, especially if you're traveling here for the first time. We have a logistics list. We have traveling to Mexico list to help you know, like, depending where you come from, do you need a converter, and a packing list, because we do have weather. We have very, very different weather than England. And it was funny. We were laughing, like, do we need an umbrella? We were going out after we got back in England, don't leave without your rain gear. And Chris looked at me and he goes, only for sun. And I was like, yeah. So, when we go to the sites, we will often bring umbrellas because we might be out where there's no shade. So, okay, so let me share that. Well, actually, about what you were just saying, you were talking about the plateau, of not just the measurement of the base of the pyramids, but the actual plateau that it's on. And I was so fascinated over the 10 years that I've lived here. I kept going to sites. I kept finding more sites that nobody really talked about that you could go to, climb all over. And there were so many different sites I started to realize that were actually what we saw on this ground level was the top of that kind of a plateau, or I call it an acropolis. So it's sort of like we're standing on the top of the Acropolis. And if we find the edges, and I've seen them on some of these, which has made me think, okay. So in Uxmal, where we are going to go, which is an enormous site, and it's the site of the Sacred Feminine University. So the cosmic universities that the Maya had here were all of these different temples. You would learn and outline temples and eventually go to the bigger ones, and they would work together. And so this one has I don't think you entered it the way that you enter now, as you know, like in most of the sites now, they jig around with that. But when you enter, you see what's called the Pyramid of the Seer, or the Magician, which is actually the Pyramid of the Moon. And then it's enormous. And then off this direction, you can see one of these plateaus, one of these acropolises that you have to climb up to get to the Pyramid of the Sun and the Turtle Temple and a whole lot of other things as well. And so this idea of either building up a platform or finding a platform to build is that, do you know why they did that? Is that an energy thing? Or was it just natural at the time in most of these places?
I think with the Giza Plateau, for example, which it shares with Malta to some regard, is that it's already on a very large limestone plateau. So it's the limestone, which is very conductive, for one, for earth energies, for electricity, it's a conductor. to some regard. So I think they utilize the natural energies there as well as earth energies and the natural geology as well. Most ancient sites are never more than a mile and a half from a fault line. And if you look at the Giza Plateau, for example, it has a fault line very close to the Giza Plateau. Now, when you have that, you have amazing dynamics at play, natural dynamics. Okay, so if you've got a megalith or a pyramid or a mound, for example, and it's near a fault line, whenever the sun or moon crosses the horizon line, you're going to get particular activity that is piezoelectrical in nature, for example. And I can test that out with dowsing and with experience at places where you have stone that is a conductive material. So if you've got that beneath the place, yeah, or you've got water, that's a conductor. There's a lot of water beneath the Mexican sites, and you've got these conductors, and you add in a few ingredients, then you have a lot of activity. So that's what we can look at. We can look at it on very different levels. And how do we experience that with megaliths and with the pyramids or the Giza Plateau? With our hands. It's that simple. You can do it with your hands by approaching monuments at particular times of the day. Yeah, and seeing that there's going to be a different reaction that you may or may not. Some people experience these things, some people don't. I'm not going to say everybody's going to experience that, but as you walk towards a place, as you experience those energetic dynamics, I think that's what brings it alive. It's like a pulse of a heartbeat. And so I think by visiting the different sites at particular times of the day, we're going to be exploring a bit like a clock. If you can imagine like a 12-hour clock and a 24-hour clock, and each time the hands of the clock strike midnight or strike 9 o'clock, and that's when you could have some activity at particular times of the day. It's like being around a megalithic clock.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Interesting. Yeah, well, the energies are so different at every site. Of course, then there is a similarity, and it feels like the design of the structures, the layout of the structures in relationship to each other that you do see at some of the ones that are similar. And not just, of course, the alignment with suns and moons and other kinds of latitudes and so on, but the layout is designed to harness these energies and all the different times of the day, so that you could be moving around these sites doing whatever your lessons are or whatever you're doing, and they're alive, they're reacting. Like you said, at noon they're doing a certain thing, at the sunrise they're doing a different thing, and each time then of course you got the moon. So there's so many layers of how we experience them. One thing I really liked when we were in Stonehenge and Woodhenge and everything was we were there for the full moon, the lunar eclipse, and we're going to be in Mexico for the eclipse on the full moon as well. And they are connected in a lot of astrological ways. So it's very, very interesting. But you talk about how the waters in the ground react differently, like you feel them 5-6 days later versus, on the full moon. And then because we were near an eclipse, where were we? I think we were at Woodhenge, where you were saying the energies are going to be very low or very soft, right? Because of that.
Yes, you do tend to get that. It's a bit like, if you think of how the birds react to eclipses, they go quiet, they become quieter. Animals sense it, and that's because, in my humble opinion, that's because the earth energies are becoming quieter and softer and more gentle, and sometimes they can even dissipate. And then you get this kind of really exciting reboot. So you do experience that with eclipse energy. That is for sure. And what the ancients were looking for when they designed some of the ancient sites like Stonehenge phase 1, that could actually predict eclipses, because they were looking for these times when the energy dips down. And if you are producing different types of energy for different types of ceremonies or for different aspects in one's life, you want to know when it's full volume, number 11, or you want to know when it's very quiet, for example. So I think some of the sites worldwide have yet to be fully understood, were designed to look into eclipse patterns. So it'd be interesting to note where the moon is at that particular time, where it would have been in the past at that particular time. And I can certainly get my
En el
astronomer
mundo,
friend.
miles de niñas y niños no tendrán.
Sorry.
No worries. And I can get my astronomer friend to kind of look back into different eons to see what eclipse activity there was and compare it to today. Just to, maybe there will be a pattern in that, maybe there won't, but these are the sort of things that we can explore to put our Indiana Jones hat on, and see what is going to come of that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was so amazed because I was doing a show with Donna Stellhorn, our astrologer. It's here on Sunday, and it was a little bit about the full moon, but it's about the next couple of months in the year. And she was the one that started to tell me, well, the eclipse is going to be. So on March 3rd, we'll be together, and it will be the full moon, and it will be an eclipse, and we will be and she said that it's very connected to that one. It's like a bridge because of the different energies that it was in. So if you were with us there, maybe you're meant to come back and be here with us for this one, because it seems like an incredible opening, an incredible portal to go through. So, well, let me share some pictures that
oh, lovely.
And I know that if you're interested in, also, we did a show in August where we talked about this wonderful event. And so what we have is that we are combining the wisdom of Maria, having this sacred site information, understanding these kinds of energies, lifelong dowser kind of, and researching. You're on the cutting edge of really discovering what do these things mean and why does it matter to us, instead of it just being like, this is interesting. What does it mean for us? What does it mean for our awakening, for our healing, for the breakdown that we're having on the planet, and where we're going with that? So I love the idea. We're going to bring that wisdom together with everything that I've learned and all that I do to talk to and lead ceremony at the sites. And then we're going to have Miguel Angel with us for 3 days. And he was the director at Chichen Itza. And he also has been a Mayan wisdom keeper for 30 some years and teaching. And so he understands the real symbology behind it. And a lot of the information, he told me he has a book on Chichen Itza he wrote with his teacher who's passed on, but he's not allowed to print it yet because of some of the information in it that about this exact pyramid right here. So who knows what kind of information we'll get to receive from him that will start to weave together. I feel like we're almost going to be together, being like a mystery squad and going out and weaving together a new tapestry of information about the Maya and what they have, what their wisdom has to offer for us right now. So we will be there on March 5th when this exact phenomenon behind my head here, you can see the little snake coming down, will be happening. It is what happens on the eclipse, on the equinox, which everybody knows of. However, it happens for 33 days. So we're going to tell you more and more about that. And I'm going to skip through a lot of our schedule. If you contact us, we can give you the schedule. We can give you the logistics and everything like that. So let's see here. 1 and 2. That is the pyramid with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one's going into 7. So this would be closer to the equinox, but between March 5th and April 6th are 33 days. And Kukulkan is the solar serpent that comes down. Like I discovered, this also happens in the full moon. The same thing. And the pyramid also tells you the solstices and many, many, many other things. And the 9 steps represent something, and it is open over a sacred cenote. So this is another site we're going to go to. It's called Ekbalam, and it means black star jaguar or black jaguar. And all of them have a relationship to jaguar, the serpent and the jaguar are the most important animal representatives for the Maya. And the jaguar is considered the Milky Way, the spots. It's considered the mother. Showed humans how to live. It teaches you how to see in the dark, to see past fear. But it comes from Lemuria. It's a sacred feminine. So when it comes in and it goes from day to night, that can transport you, carries the sun with it. As it's in the night, similar, that kind of thing. So behind me is the main pyramid, and we can go to the top, and underneath the palapa right there is this altar I'm going to show you. The temple I'm on now, I believe, is a school. Every time I've been there, it has a lot of rooms. It's circular. It's very unusual, very different. But all these are laid out in a plaza, and we can go around. The pyramid behind, though, is a part of an enormous kind of acropolis. It's not just a 4-step pyramid like we see at Chichen Itza. Mm-hmm. So you can see all the other things. So this is the altar. That's still there. It's stucco. They buried the pyramid. That's why it's still there. When they knew they were going to be conquered, they literally buried that huge pyramid and turned it into a mountain. And so a lot of the stucco carvings, this is the mouth of the jaguar, and this is where the Balam would enter. So I'll be sharing with you about the 3 worlds, the above the surface and below, a lot of the cosmology of the Maya. You can see the angels or the winged guardians above, and we do our meditation right here in front of the altar.
And Nan, if I could ask you a question, if I may.
Yes, please.
And how are the energies at the eclipse at these sites? But when you've experienced it before, what do you feel? How do they react? I suppose is the question I'm asking.
How do they react? The sites? That's a good question. It's an interesting idea because the energies that come, depending where you are. So we go to Sibil Shaltun in the morning for the sunrise. And I shared that at your conference, where the sun rises through this particular temple.
Oh, that was amazing. I mean, Nan, if you've got that picture, you should put it out, because when Nan showed that at the conference, I think that one blew everyone away. And if the listeners are even thinking about coming to Mexico, this is a once-in-a-lifetime vision of the sun's splendor.
Yeah. Now, we won't be there for the equinox this time. I found a picture of it.
Yeah, and show a picture, Nan, because that's spectacular what you shared at the conference.
So when you say what happens on the equinox, the biggest challenge we have is access. Because in the morning of the equinox at Chichen Itza, the sun aligns with the ball cord. It aligns with a whole bunch of other things that nobody knows about because they don't let anybody in at that time. And this temple, which we may not visit, it's in Merida, but this is what happens on the equinox. It rises through that door. And then we have a whole initiation where we move 7 times and have it hit our forehead and rise above. So of course I go to this particular site because it's about an hour from my house a lot. There's a temple of Venus. I can climb it. I can meditate on the top. I can go inside of it. And this is the one I told you that I've explored it to the limits of where they're still excavating. And I've seen that we're really on the top of a giant platform. But when you don't go during the equinox, it doesn't look all that impressive, right? It just looks like, oh, that's interesting. Look at that thing. It's way down there by itself. So it really depends on the time of the day. When I've had the blessing to get access at dawn two sites. We used to climb Koba. You can't climb that pyramid anymore. And we used to go in at dawn, and we would be on the top of the pyramid. And I've been on the top of that pyramid at noon, in the afternoon, and many times a day. Is completely different at dawn and completely different at the equinox. There's almost like a vibrational field, a vibratory field that seems very high frequency, like everything, kind of goes up like that. But but again, the sites are very different in what they do. That one is stunning. Really.
It is. I mean, this is the thing. And when we think of Mexico, we don't necessarily think of these sites. And I think that's where you bring the great information when you give your presentations about this part of the world. And it's interesting to note, for example, that that's facing east for sunrise, for example. And we're heading for a few supermoons at the moment, as I'm sure your astrologer friend would have indulged us with. And that would be in the same place as that sun.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, a particular time, especially with the supermoon, when it's very low and it's very large in its appearance, then that may have some kind of relationship to that site as well. Would be exciting to see.
It would be very interesting, because I didn't have any idea. Of course, most of the sacred feminine information about priestesses and all that aspect has been erased from most cultures. But if they aligned the Chichen Itza pyramid to the sun and the moon, I'm sure it is. Yeah, very true. Yeah. Again, like that one, when I first moved over here to this area, they in the Yucatan, I used to live in Quintana Roo, and they didn't open that site at 4:35 a.m. So it didn't matter, because you couldn't be there when the sun came up. And then they did, and then COVID hit, and then they didn't, and now they do. And I think they might now open it 2 days, because of course it happens more than one day. They might open it 2 days, but they limit the number of people who go, and you just kind of show up. So it's really about access. I mean, I think that would be interesting, is to calculate and figure out what all these different things, what they align to, what kind of phenomenon. There's a site called Oshkentok, and it's famous for a lot of aliens, a lot of, people from other planets, carvings and stuff. It's a little difficult to get to, but it's over here. And I saw something just this last year where they said, oh, that also is aligned to the equinox. So I asked Miguel Angel, and he said, well, but they don't have it set up, and they don't open it. Like they didn't, they don't have it cleaned up so that, maybe the sun can come through that door or whatever they have aligned. Sure. So it was interesting, though, that they put that in an ad, in a tourist ad. Like we have, the Yucatan has, you want to experience the equinox, come to the Yucatan. We've got these 3 sites, though. So this is one of the things I think that really always amazes people. If there's anything you want to jump in and say, oh, that looks interesting, or you want to say, is the wings, having the winged people, because people tend to think of angels being only from one particular culture in general. So this is the main one I thought I would share today, since we talked about some other ones yesterday. This is Uxmal. And I don't know if you can see the little iguana down here in the front, our little dragon.
Oh, yeah, I can. Yes, I can.
So they blend in. I've got Carlos lives over here, and Juanita, and we've got a few more over here. So we live with iguanas all the time. But we call them the guardians. You'll see them all over these sites. And what I love is when you're going by a temple, and there'll be one in the window looking at you out the window, like, yeah, how's it going?
That's fun. And with the moon alignments as well, when you look to some cultures, I mean, we think of that. I mean, that was splendid with the sun alignment that we saw there, Nan, and that was kind of coming through the door ablaze. But in some of the lunar alignments, they're a little bit more subtle. They can be aligned to one part of the building, not necessarily to the axis line. So I think that in more ways than one, the moon is going to be integrated into other sites as well as the main ones, so to speak, you know,
Yeah.
and that will be allowing us to see it through the kind of more softer feminine eyes as well.
Yeah. Well, and on the full moon lunar eclipse, this is where we will be, is here, and that is the pyramid of the moon. So I am, and we're going to be staying like across the street, basically on the land, because the people who bought these places as ranches in the past built hotels from the stones right there.
Wow.
And so we literally walk across the street and walk into this property. But on the property where we stay, you can see more of the stones. You can see more of the ruins. And from the second balcony, from the floor up on the main building, they're beautiful buildings with outdoor pools in the jungle, and it's just really wonderful. But we can see this pyramid from the hotel as well. And there's also a night show where they light everything up, which if you like to, I like to experience the energies of these places, day, night, morning, evening, sun, moon, you name it. So, but I'll have a lot more in-depth information for us as we're going to be here for the full moon, exactly how that works. But that full moon, that moon Temple of the Moon is 3 temples, and a lot of people call it the thrice built, like kind of like Hermes, the thrice. And the outer one has this very smooth, this very feminine oval look. The front, this part was all carved with moons, go all the way up. But there's stairs on 2 sides versus 4 of this one. And in front of it is a courtyard of birds, carvings of birds. And we get flocks of birds that just come and do all of this sound healing with us. And it's a part of a large landscape. So this is the courtyard of the birds. You can see one bird up there. And depending on what the current people have, we usually sit in here to do our meditation and activation. But going up those stairs, you'll see all the moons. This is a close-up of the temple door at the top. So one of the things that's very unique here in the Yucatan is we have a lot of carvings left on our sites. A lot of the ones over in Quintana Roo, you have the structures, but none of the carvings. And so
exquisite.
Yeah, I'll be sharing like what these symbols mean, why they're relevant to you, how you can see the connection. There's the feathers. It's so deep and profound. What they left, similar to Egypt, right? They carved those alchemical texts into the stones to leave this wisdom for us. So we'll see a lot of these are called Mayan false arches. The Spanish named them. You can't see the top of it, but it comes up and it has a flat top here and it goes down. And they use them everywhere. And they do now say, well, you might call it a false arch, but it won't fall down if you lose that top thing like a different kind of arch will. And they built it because it's the snake's head shape pointing up. If you see this, and they got all of their cultural symbols from the sacred snake that lives here, the snake. Now, this is they call it the nunnery, of course, but this is the Sacred Feminine University right next to the Pyramid of the Moon. And they're all the way around our classrooms. And they have carvings above them that depict exactly what, like the one we're looking at across the courtyard is a carving of evolution. And you have humans growing, you have animals growing, you have the sacred serpent winding through the whole thing, the feathered serpent. And they learned all around here. Some places you'll see some phalluses, some places you'll see the 2-headed jaguar. So this is all about using all the laws of the universe and using them to create your life.
And what does the 2-headed jaguar mean then, Nan?
Let me find it here. This is one of the, we go through these tunnels when we're there, and that was one of our retreats. We've got 2-headed serpents and 2-headed jaguars, and they're distinctly feminine and masculine. They are similar to the Ouroboros. They are about that eternal
Yeah.
experience, but they are the blend of the above and the below. It's always about the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth, and then you're the pillar in between. And so here on one of these, we used to be able to climb this Great Pyramid, and there are some amazing things at the top of that thing. So yeah, above this here there's the numbers. You're going to love the numbers too. The math calculations, there's exactly so many numbers of stones and spirals that relate to this and that, especially on the Pyramid of the Sun. And here's the two-headed jaguar throne. So this is in front of the Pyramid of the Sun, which is up on a platform away from the pyramids we were just looking at.
Nan, is that, sorry to butt in, Nan. I've got so many questions here I want to ask you, so I fire away. Please forgive me. But is that in situ or has it been moved?
Well, it's interesting to say. It's supposedly in situ. It's on a platform that you can't touch. It does look old. And the only thing they tell you about it is that somebody discovered it, and inside of it, it was filled with stones and jewels and obsidian knives and jade and all kinds of things, and nobody knows where they are now. So, back in the day, people would wander into the jungle and excavate and just take whatever they wanted to.
Yeah.
So, but they believe this is in situ, and so you're directly in front of the Pyramid of the Sun. Now, the Pyramid of the Sun, it doesn't look like a pyramid. It's up on top of a huge acropolis, and it's more of a long rectangular building, but it's quite famous for all those carvings have a very detailed cycle of certain number. They were into 52 years cycle for both Venus and Pleiades and different things. And they've closed some of the doors. You see these doors here. Some of them are large arch ones that they've thrown stones in. They're supposed to be for the sun to come through.
Okay.
And
so it can register where the sun is on the horizon line. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is like facing it, and I'm not sure which direction that is. I'll have to look there. So, and then there's a carving of this down in the feminine school courtyard up on one of the walls above certain classrooms. You could tell what they were about, like tantric or sexual or different aspects of different things. And they had a carving of this two-headed jaguar, but you can see that it's distinctly masculine and feminine.
Yeah, that's interesting to know, especially if it's in situ, because can we get close to this, or is it a kind of no-go zone, as it were?
Well, you can see Chris right there. That's as close as you can get.
That's as close as you can get. Well, we're in its energy field, and we'll be able to take a look at the energies there. Why is it placed there, and what is it doing as well? Is it kind of absorbing the energy? Is it transmitting it? Is it putting it back in the ground? So we can really explore this, this amazing aspect of a long lost civilization.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see them open up those archways in this temple, in the pyramid in front of us, because of what would happen. And then you're sitting here, right? You're sitting on this jaguar throne, and the sun comes up or whatever, right? And who knows what the other things that it's aligned to would come through. So that's the night show. Yep, we got that. This is another picture of it. So you can see that it's on a platform that was original, but it's been concreted, in to hold that. And that's the Pyramid of the Sun, which is so interesting because it's really not a pyramid. However, you are up on top of a very, very high acropolis or platform of some kind. So those are the ones about the Sacred Feminine University I thought would be fun.
Yes, I mean, there's so many different aspects that we could explore together. And what I find really exciting and an honor is that I'm going to go with two experts. I'm going with you and Miguel. So I know I'm going to be in good company, and I know that I'm going to learn so much from the masculine and the feminine. Just like the double jaguar, I'm going to learn from Nan and Miguel. And what a chance of that! What a beauty as well to have these wisdom keepers. So I say to the audience, we are in such good company to have somebody that actually knows, lives, and breathes in that landscape. It's all well and good to be a traveler and then say, oh, I know all about this, I know all about that. But what I love about Nan, she lives and breathes it. Like I live and breathe my landscape here. So I think we are more than in good company. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And imagine getting up close, having a look at those symbols, having a look at those carvings, and we can hear what they mean. But what were they going to teach us? What is going to be our individual understanding of that? I'm excited to interact with that landscape and also have the wisdom and the understanding that comes with these great teachers that we have here in Mexico. Voila, Nan.
Yeah, it is. It's a treasure chest in the planet. You know, there's so many beautiful things, but it's kind of a, we're just getting to discover it. So it's really wonderful that they are excavating more and more. The site we were just looking at has an entirely new area since we've lived here that we would sneak into as they were excavating. And
I
then,
like that. I like that.
I'm always like, oh, yeah, it was like a little rope, you know, and they're over there excavating something. I did the same thing at Sibil Shaltun with the temple with the sun. I was wandering and I'm like, what's over there? What's over there? Because sometimes the jungle is so thick they haven't cut it back. And there was a little rope, so I behaved, and then I got to a point where there was no rope, so I walked in. And, and I got to walk all around where they are in the process of numbering. You know, they've got things sorted out and there's numbers written, and you can see what they've put in with the little numbers and how they it's just amazing. And then after COVID, they shut almost that whole site down. You could barely walk like to the pyramid and back. And then now they've slowly opened more, and that whole other area is there. So, and they only have about 30% of this particular site. So, excavated. Yeah, this site is, to me, one of the most fascinating because it's in the middle of the jungle, as you can tell from some of the photos. That you're just in the middle of the jungle. These sites are just surrounded, and we don't get a lot of rain. We're not a rainforest. Okay.
Yay!
We're a jungle, but we're not a rainforest jungle. So we wait for the rain. We didn't have rain for almost 4 months earlier this year. And so what happened about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe, yeah, something around that. We had a huge flood. We had a lot of rain, and they were like, this is flooding, that's flooding, so on and so forth. We've had cenotes, you know, underground caves, water caves that we've been supposed to go into for a retreat that we can't because they're full. And what they found was something that was discovered over 40 years ago and then forgotten. I don't know how people do this. Is that site where we were, actually they engineered an entire lake that fills up when you get that much rain. And so around that site is an enormous engineered structure in the ground where they gather that water. And there were some people from a local magazine who went through the jungle and, you know, really difficult, took out canoes and canoed around the lake. It's called like the Invisible Lake.
Wow.
So the engineering, you know, yeah. And they have Chak, which is the rain god. That's the simple explanation of Chak, is really the abundance god. And all over, the faces all over. A lot of what you see on those are it looks like a little elephant nose, and it's Chak, and it's either pointing down or up, it's catching or it's pouring. You know, so a lot of the original information was, you know, oh, they they do all this stuff and sacrifice and all these things they didn't do to the gods to hope that they'll send rain. And they built this giant temple to hope they know what time the sun rises or something like they're stupid. But when you walk around this site, you will see all of the cisterns, all of the water wells that are built in all over. They were masters of it. They had all that figured out. If it goes dry, we're okay, for the most part. So, but yeah, and the beauty here is so unique. Coming to Mexico is very different. And we're going to be in the Yucatan, which has a very, very unique spirit. I feel extremely proud to live in the Yucatan. I get emotional. It is the primary site of the Maya, although they go all the way down to Guatemala and Honduras and everything. But the beauty here, the people here, very unique. You get the Maya. We have many, many living Maya living in the jungle, and many towns, and many of them don't know their own sacred culture. And we're on a path of recovering that as we can. But their food is so unique, and the colors and the flavors, and cocoa frios. If you haven't had a cocoa frio, a big coconut with a straw in it, we stop on our way and get things like that, and all the beautiful foods that you get to try. So it's a whole sensory experience to come here and be in places where I personally think the people here are so warm and so friendly. And I do want, in general, everybody that I've met in this part of Mexico has been incredibly warm and friendly. And I do want to say, in case anybody lives somewhere where they do a lot of bad PR on Mexico, where there's plenty of places in Mexico, don't go there. Okay. However, this, especially now, is becoming very popular over on the Caribbean coast. However, there's a study that's done and been done for a long time about the safest cities in the Americas, meaning all the way from Canada down through South America.
Sure.
And Merida, which is the city that you're going to fly into, it's an hour away from me. It's the main city. It's about 2 million people. It's a colonial city. It has beautiful boulevards, parts of it from ancient, but it was Mayan. So it's over 500 years Spanish, colonial, and Mayan before that. And but it's been voted the first or second safest city in all of the Americas, and it goes back and forth with Quebec in Canada. So if you're from the US, it's safer here in this area than anywhere where you live. Okay.
Yeah. That's a great thing. What I love about this is I'm looking forward to the food, to the hospitality of the people. They sound warm. They sound a welcome to have people there to experience their land. And what I find quite, if I could ask you a question, Nan, because you can understand the Yucatan through what you see and what you have, but there must be loads of lost sites awaiting discovery. Do you think that is the case?
Oh, 100%. It just everywhere. They're just everywhere. Everything got covered in jungle, and there was years of wars where the Maya finally said, "F off, everybody." Stop controlling us, get off of our peninsula. And nobody came. Nobody could get you would land on the water and there was just jungle right there. Cancun was not a town. It was built for tourists. It's not, there wasn't a lot of access to this area. And very slowly, in the beginning, the government didn't care about these sites. Now they see money and they all cost money. Almost all of them cost money. But the fact that they built a train, this Mayan train, so it's a very controversial project, but as they plow through the jungle to build the train, they're finding sites. Just there's a site, there's a site, there's a site. It was a huge drama for a few years because nobody really knows if they're cataloging, and they didn't do the eco studies. But the gift for us is that they are discovering more and more sites. They're discovering caves with more codexes. They found at least 10 more books. They've found pottery with painting, a lot of artwork that's really helping us to piece together aspects of it. And that's my favorite thing to do. So we'll be going to Chichen Itza because of the time and the solar
Of
experience
course.
and our opportunity for you to explore one of the most well known. However, it's not the only site by far, none. And we will go to the Temple of the First Moon before we go to Chichen Itza, and there's nobody there. There's no one visits, and it's about 15 minutes from Chichen Itza. So yeah, and that's what I've spent the most of my time here doing, was going to all the newer sites, going to the sites that not a lot of people went to. And so there's so many. I literally have I have maybe 6 trips, okay, now we have to go to Palenque, Yaxchilan, this and this, and the Olmecs are calling, asking Miguel Angel to come. He's very connected with the Olmecs elders in the Veracruz, on the other side of the Gulf of Mexico from us, and they are connected all the way down. And those are megaliths too, right? Those giant heads.
Absolutely.
So
megalithic heaven.
It is. It is. It is. So, okay. Well, you keep talking, sharing anything you want to do. I'm just going to put up our site so people can quickly see what we're going to do.
Well, what I think, I've got out of this conversation with you, Nan, is it's going to be literally, like I just said, a megalithic heaven, but also immersing ourselves into a culture with the food, with going to sites that, yes, are famous sites like we're looking at now, but we're also going to explore the almost lesser known, lesser visited sites and have that intimacy of being around the stones, the features, and seeing it through the eyes of the ancients. And I always think if you go to somebody that's really famous, like over here to Stonehenge, but then you go to the others, you get equal amounts of experience and exploring the site, but not through the madding crowd, as we say here, through a more peaceful experience. So I think we've got the best of the experiences, and you have put this together with your wisdom and with your knowledge and with Miguel's knowledge, as well as being so intimately involved and writing a book, and it's just going to be coming out, and what's in that, and to ask him all of the questions as a teacher as well is going to be absolutely incredible. So I think it's well put together. I think it's going to be really immersing ourselves in a culture of yesteryear, but bringing it to the present and for our own future as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The amazing thing is to honestly, I live about an hour away from Miguel Angel, and we met almost a year ago. And we could just sit and talk for hours, and just about, we do ceremony, we do all kinds of other things, but to just explore or to look or to read or to decode something, so to have this kind of access, and he'll be with us at Uxmal,
Wow.
which is Sacred Feminine University. So we'll be there for a day or a day and a half with Maria, and I will be going several times into these sites. And there's a chocolate museum for the cacao you can go to. It's very fun. They also rescue jaguars, so you can see some jaguars. They have some recreated Mayan homes. It's like a little ecological park. It's just a little walk from our lodge. There's the pools in the jungle. There's a beautiful Yucatecan food. And then we're also going to be going to Kaba, which is that site is on something called Ruta Puk. And it's a whole route. It's a whole route through that area that has a particular style. And there's many different sites. And Kaba is not well known and is one of my favorite sites. We've always had the most transcendent experiences there. Where we do our activations, god masks and a big altar covered in Mayan glyphs, and we get very transcendent. We have a lot of very powerful experiences. So I'm going to be sharing the gods, the traditions, what they do, and then we're going to be guiding through activations and things at these sites. So we'll be coming with our logical brain, we'll be sensing with our dowsing rods, right? We'll be learning about some of the bigger picture things or what it did, but then we'll be personally and intimately get to have experiences. Each site will give you the next step. I always design retreats like a cocoon. You enter and we're together and we kind of go through this flow, each experience, each site. Or if we go to Uxmal 2 or 3 times, the first time we're doing one thing, the next time we're doing, and then the day that we leave, which I think is, it might be the moon, but the day that we leave Uxmal, Miguel Angel will be joining us that morning. And I said, okay, that's your morning to take us. Maria will have taken us around and I will have taken us. So we're going to have that third perspective. So you're going to have this relationship by that point, you're going to be feeling it. And when you go into these places over and over, there's so much happening that you're going to notice different things. You're going to be drawn. We find a ceiba tree, a tree of life, and we all start hugging it. That ends up being like a major thing sometimes, However, because he is a priest, he is a wisdom keeper, he is a healer. I said, how, do you want to do ceremony at the hotel? I could ask them because that is on the site, because you can't really go in with all your drums now and do your big ceremony when we're on the site. And he says, no. He has a shaman who lives on the hill right there. And so we're going up. I've never been there yet. And so that's not something that anybody else has access to. These are the kinds of things that we're going to get to do. For first that morning, he's going to take us up. We're going to go up the hill to have a sacred ceremony on the hill. And then we'll enter that site for that time with him in that sacred way. So we're going to take everything else that we've done up to that point, and it'll get integrated in this beautiful ceremony on the hill there. And then we'll go in. And then when we're at Chichen Itza, we're going to do a ceremony with him. It's a cenote that we can't climb down into. It's extremely deep and no longer maintained, but there's dragons in the caves down there that he's met. So we're going to, and it's a sacred feminine cenote. So these are the kinds of things that we know we're going to do. And then I have to tell you that when you decide to come, you change everything. So as people sign up for these retreats, your energy starts to come. You're already here. You're going through your own journey to come here and your own ups and downs of figuring out how, what, why, but also that affects and I've seen doors open, would you like to go in this temple that nobody goes in? With some groups, just happens in the moment. So we don't know what we will do, but we will be creating some really powerful magic.
And again, what you have set up for everybody to experience, going up to be with that shaman, to be with these people in their space, experiencing their wisdom. That is an amazing invite, and one that I feel so privileged to be invited to. And this doesn't happen to most tours. This is the magic of Nan that she weaves, because to be in Mexico, to be in any ancient site, but to be around the real people that know the magic of place is very, very important. And that's where we've got the invite to. So what wonders await?
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be super magic. And so stay tuned to here. I'm going to have Miguel Angel on, I think next week. We're just figuring a time. And we're going to have him come on to share more, and I'll pick his brain. So you can see. And I can tell you too, this is a very active retreat, but it's a very loving retreat. We design it. We don't go late at night. We make sure that you have a beautiful hotel to stay in. All the accommodations are included. All the lunches are included. And you're always, taken care of in the sense of like, okay, we all just had a really epic experience. We need a cocoa, and we all get a nice cold coconut or something, or some cacao. And we weave in the flow of it. So it isn't push yourself till you die type of retreat, but we will be active and we will be going, which is why it's important to get the packing list from me. However, it's done to love you up. Okay, to bring you into the this is the land of cacao, which opens our heart and heals our heart. And the essence of the divine, the Maya, is that it is all about releasing your ego so you can remember that you're divine and you can live your purpose, and that you can receive the sunlight every day, which is unconditional love and sacred wisdom that's there to help you live your purpose. So we're going to be having all of this magic woven into everything we do. And I can't wait. So reach out to me, make sure that you let me know, or reach out to Maria. She knows where to get a hold of me. And of course, you can go over here to see more, but I do have a lot more information. Thank you, Maria. Anything else you want to share before we go?
Well, I'm just brimming with excitement, and I say to people, come along. This is going to be a wonder, and to experience these places with the excitement of knowing what is going to be around the corner. And for me, what am I going to see next? So I'm so thrilled to be a part of this. Thank you very much, and I can't wait to hear your questions that you're going to ask him next week. I'm sure you're going to have an absolute amazing time. And just to say thank you very much, and that you are adored, and that we love you for all of this.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Let me see if anybody else wanted to say, oh, hi, Arietta and Lara Beeman. And your birthday's on the 8th. Okay, good. Well, come on down. Come on and have your birthday. I'm going to be on another retreat with them on my birthday in December. And Jillian and Mark, wonderful. Well, what a beautiful time to experience that, right? And Cheryl said hi too. Maria, she was with us last year in Glastonbury and Avebury on my retreat. So she wanted to say hi to you there. Okay, everybody. Happy full moon. Remember yesterday I did a fire ceremony. That's here. I repeated it myself last night, just listening to it in bed. It was really quite profound. I had a lot of profound experiences. So it's a good full moon for burning away things that you don't want. There's not a lot of aspects, and yet we are in the Aries fire moon. So right now. So, okay. Love you, Maria. Namaste, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Love. Bye. Bye.